handprint panels. And now John Levine continues with what he and Commander Rutledge found in the 3-mile-long ancient craft on the back dark side of our moon.
So what is the discussion in detail back in 1976 between you and Commander Rutledge about this extraordinarily beautiful Polynesian-looking preserved female in one of the cockpit chairs?
Neither of us could understand how could she possibly be that well preserved.
And what is it that you're looking at first?
Her skin was all intact, and she was wearing clothing, a dress of some sort, possibly a jumpsuit type of thing. And it seemed to be very much intact, no deterioration at all to speak of.
What about those tubes on her face?
William Rutledge believed that they had to do with controlling the spaceship.
That those tubes on her face were controlling from her mind this huge 3-mile-long craft, and she was the pilot, and the gray was like a co-pilot?
Well, they had a control panel that looks like you put your hands on it. And apparently the controls, the ship's computer, interfaced directly with the pilots.
Okay, and we saw that in Roswell. The 6-fingered panels. I've talked with both scientists and military people who have confirmed for me they've had their own hands in those panels from 47. There were 6 fingers on those particular beings. What about this ancient 3-mile-long craft? How many fingers were in the panels there?
6.
There were 6.
5 fingers with opposing thumb.
So that would match what came down in Roswell.
Yes.
Did you and William Rutledge then have discussions about those facts, and did you have information from NASA about look for 6-fingered embedded panels as control of the ship?
I received practically no briefing because I got there just in the nick of time for the flight. I'm sure Rutledge may have been highly trained and have had those discussions with NASA. We had guessed that the ship had been there perhaps millennia and maybe longer.
I was going to ask you if today, have you learned from any analysis that has been done how old this big, huge 3-mile-long spacecraft, how long has it been there? How old might it be?
There have been guesses tossed around that it might be 1 million years old, might have been 100 million years old. I've even heard 1 billion years old.
And that this female was still in the pilot's chair, preserved?
Absolutely amazing, stunning.
How?
Technology beyond ours. When we took her back to the lunar lander, Rutledge removed her jumpsuit.
Was that because you had transported her into the lander?
That's correct. We didn't do that initially. When we returned, Rutledge said he was going to go get the woman pilot, and he did.
So you had examined them first in the big 3-mile-long cigar-shaped ship, and then you went back and got her and brought her to the lander to bring back to the Earth as well as the Gray's Head.
That's correct. Rutledge went back. I remained in the lander. She had what looked like tattoos, but the reality was, or at least what Rutledge believed, when he said it, it made sense to me, that it was some kind of electronics that was placed on her skin.
Oh, you mean that she was a cyborg?
Transhuman to some extent, that's correct.
Organic and technology.
Yeah, it's like there was silver, there was copper colors mixed in with red and blue. It looked sophisticated, so I do tend to believe that she had some kind of a computer attached to her skin, and they were very visible.
Were they all over her body?
No, but the thighs, portions of her sides and back, perhaps as much as 30% of her skin surface.
As much as 30% of her skin surface had these metallic-looking patterns.
Patterns, tattoos, yeah. The tattoos or patterns were probably a computer. It could be that their technology had circuits and chips that were so thin and so small that they would simply look like coloring on the skin.
Now, since you are the only first-hand eyewitness that I or anybody knows who actually has been close to and has seen this extraordinary female cyborg, perhaps, on a craft that could be anywhere from 1,000,000 to 1,000,000,000 years old and is on the moon still, but she was brought back to the Earth. What did you see with your own eyes? Patterns, dimensions?
What I saw was an extremely well-preserved person. If they had died on the Earth, you would swear that they hadn't been dead for more than several weeks and kept fairly well preserved during those several weeks. It was amazing.
Talk about the